A very good evening to all. The next speaker is Dr. Andy Asafran, SPT, MPT, who is a lecturer in the Faculty of Teachers, Training and Education, Universitas of Muhammadiyah Sidareng Repang in South Sulawesi, Indonesia. He is also the head of student and alumni affairs of Universitas Muhammadiyah Sidareng Repang. He received his PhD in language education, concentration in English language, and MPD from the State University of Makassar, South Sulawesi, Indonesia, in 2018 and 2011, respectively. He received his bachelor's degree in Faculty of Teachers Training and Education from Universitas Muhammadiyah Parepare, South Sulawesi, Indonesia, in 2007. He got a sandwich-like scholarship at Northern Illinois University, DeKalb, ILUSA, in 2015. He has published some research articles in leading journals and conference proceedings, including Scopus and Thomson Reuters. His research interest is in English language teaching, ESP, linguistic and technology in education. He has full membership of Himpunan Penerjemah Indonesia, Association of Indonesian Translator. He is a member of Lorette, Cambridge Online Learning Research Network. In 2012 and 16, he was the head of Education Technology Department of STKIP, Muhammadiyah. He was also director of the Center for Language and Indonesian Culture of STKIP Muhammadiyah Repang in 2012 to 2015. He was the head of International Office of STKIP Muhammadiyah Repang in 2015-16. And then in 2016 and 19, he was elected to be the Vice Chancellor in Finance and Human Resource in STKIP Muhammadiyah Repang. Now he's the head of Student and Alumni Affairs of Universitas Muhammadiyah Sidareng Repang. He's also an editorial board member and reviewer in some international and national journals. Sir, I request you to take over the session.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Allow me to share my screen. Okay. Is this visible? Can you see my slide?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning and good afternoon, all the participants from all over the world. Thank you so much for this wonderful invitation, and thank you to the faculty, the staff from the Shillong Law College, Dankati, Meghalaya, India, in collaboration with KP Komoren Trust, Dr. Regine, for this invitation. Today it's my honor as a resource person in one of the very wonderful event in International Virtual Faculty Development Program on research methodology in humanities, social science, and legal study. For this session, I would like to share about the research and innovation for future needs. In this case, a research and development model on education. What we will cover today, divided into 4 components. The first component is basic theoretical term, what is the model itself and instructional design, and then what is the educational research development or R&D, and instructional design methodology, and then some technology-based approaches of instructional design. Let me start with what is the function of the research itself. I take this statement from one of the famous professor in research methodology in Indonesia from State University of Yogyakarta, Professor Sugiono, where he divided the function of the research into three category. The first category is we research because we need to do. So we have here four kind of research: research in development, action research, operational research, and mixed method. And then we research because we need to know. So here we have survey, experiment, qualitative, and mix. And then the last, we research because we need to choose. So that's why we have here two kind of research: formative evaluation research and summative evaluation research. Let me focus on our discussion today in research and development. As I mentioned that we research because we need to do. So that's why one of the kind of this in this level is research development, where in the research development we have four levels here. Starting with level one, researching without testing, and then in level two, not researching but testing, and in the level three, research and test to develop existing product, and then level four, research and test to create a product that doesn't exist yet. Let me show you step by step to make you clear understand about this level. In level one, we starting from the potential and problem, and then we take the data from the two sources, the study of literature and information gathering, and we have the prototype here, but we do the prototype here just internally validation. We don't have externally validation. And then in level two, we starting from the certain product, and after that we combine with study literature, and then we do the testing stage in three levels: testing stage 1, 2, and 3. And then in the next page, we compare the result of the testing stage with the standard based on our study of literature. In level 3, we're starting the step in research on existing product, and then exactly also we have internally designed testing to validate our prototype based on the study of literature and then field research. And then we have design revision, product manufacture, limit trial, product revision 1, main field trial, product reference 2, operational field trial, product reference 3, and last we also have dissemination and implementation. It's quite the same with the level 4. So we want to design the product that doesn't exist yet. So that's why we starting from the potential and the problem, and then the difference here in the first step in potential and problem, and then in design validation. In level 4, we have external validation from some expert to validate our prototype, and then at the last part in this level, we also have dissemination and implementation. What is the model itself? Model imply a representation of reality presented with a degree of structure and order, and model are typically idealized and simplified view of reality. And then model is divided into two kind based on Rierita in 2011, where we have here Mikromov, where talking about the physically and visual, and then Paramov is talking about the verbal description. And then in Paramov, that's can be categorized as either a conceptual model and procedure model or mathematical model, wherein conceptual model is the type of most likely to be composed with the theory, and then this is more abstract than theory. And the procedure is about the step by step how to perform a task, and then the mathematical model is about the equation which describe the relationship between various component of a situation. And then the designed is come from the Latin designer, and then bear the meaning of drawing and drafting, and accordingly the design can be defined as in due form and the functional representation of any community of object of activity. And then we have to distinguish between the design as a draft plan or the blueprint, and the design as a form, composition, and modeling of an object of utility. And then here I try to make you clear about the instructional design itself as a component in research and development, uh, where I define it and clarify the two words here. What is the instructional itself, and then what is the design itself? Instructional is a set of events that facilitate the learning, and then design is about a creative pattern or rational, logical, sequential process intended to solve the problem. And then some people asked me in the previous presentation, so what is the instructional design itself? Why we should understand about instructional design? So here, the instructional design is the systematic process. Here we highlighted this one. And then instructional design is the systemic development of instructional specification using learning and instructional theory to ensure the quality of instruction. And then it is entire process of analysis of learning needs and goal. Learning needs and goal. And the development of delivery system to meet those needs. And then it includes development of instructional material and activity. And in the last piece, I think we have try out to do the experiment about the product that we are going to develop. And then also we have evaluation to test about the how far. In this case, we have formative or summative evaluation test about all instruction and learner activity. So what is the role of instructional design itself? So exactly, we want to now we want to identify the performance problem, and then to determine the goal and the objective, and to define our learner their needs, and then to develop strategy to meet their needs, and then to assess learning outcome, and then to evaluate in the last phase, to evaluate if the goal, objective, and needs are. Why? As I mentioned previously, that why we have to know about the instructional design itself. So because there is a need for the training. The learning events are well designed. The quality training material are developed, and the learning events are implemented using appropriate strategy or approaches. And then learning events are evaluated to ensure that learning has taken place. So here some definition of instructional design based on some resources here. So based on the Razor Dempsey in 2007, that ID on instructional design is about the systematic procedure in which educational and training program are developed and composed, aiming at a substantial improvement of learning. There are some strategy in doing the instructional design. The first one is organizational strategy. That's about the both and the growth and the planning of setting and teaching, and learning in order to determine how course and lessons should be arranged and sequenced. And then the next strategy is delivery strategy. That's about with decision on how information can be transmitted to the target group and the learner. And the last is execution. This is about a decision on the method that is learning, and then how to share the material to our student. Uh, Initially, that instructional design based on some books that I got uh, from some reference here, where the first one is instructional design is about the process of deciding what method of instruction are best for bringing about desired change in student knowledge and skill for specific course content and specific student population. And then instructional design based on Rockwell here means more than literally creating instruction. And then based on Brand Stolber, instructional design is literative of playing common subject like strategy, using or creating material evaluation. Here is the research in development itself academically based on some references. I focus from the two kind of book here comes from the Borg and Water and then L.L. Gray. In Borg, in addition, in the year of 1983, Borg stated R&D is a process used to develop and validate educational product. And then in the New Year's book stated research and development is an industrial-based development model in which the finding and the research are used to design new product and are systematically evaluated and refined well. And then the last, exactly we want to meet the specific criteria, effectiveness, quality, and standard. And decided in LRG et al. Stated that R&D is the process of researching consumer needs and then developing product to fulfill those needs. So we can conclude that. So R&D is the systematic activity combining both basic apply research and aim at discovering a solution to the problem or creating new goods and the knowledge. Here's some instructional design methodology that can support our kind of research development. The first in Larnaca Declaration of Learning Design, I think there are the step here, the conceptual framework here, they're almost the same with all the model, all the kind of model in instructional design, where we're starting from the challenging or the problem here about creating learning experience aligned to particular pedagogy approach and learning objective. And then in the process, the next process is evaluate and state the objective. And then we have a teaching cycle, starting from design and plan and the engineering student, professional development, and reflection, where the four components here in teaching in teaching are supported by educational philosophy. That's about all pedagogical approach, all discipline, and then theory and methodologies. That's about the range based on the assumption about the learning environment, and the learning environment is about the external agency, institution, educator, and learner. And then after that, we have level of granularity. That's about the program, module, session, learning. And then we design instructional, in this case in learning design, and then how we implement all the prototype that we are going to design. And then the last, exactly, we have the learner response, the feedback, and then also the evaluation. Some a step of flexibility learning planning in the field of instructional design, where there are commonly there are seven step. In first step, uh, we want to find out the specification of objective and goal. So that's cool. Uh, we 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 mentioned about the need analysis, target needs, and learning needs. And then next one, that's about the inventory taking, analyzing of needs and specification needs, or here we call need assessment, where in this part we have to describe the future issues of teaching and learning, the prospective rethinking and action alternative, and environmental constraint, and then the elaboration of conditional prescription for design and action in this sense of anticipatory decision making. And then we develop the next step. We develop of action and the realization, and then infection of goal achievement or formative evaluation. And the last, we have extrapolation of planning. Here that I mentioned just now, the general view of major component of instructional design, where we're starting for analyzing the target group, and then we have need analysis and then task analysis. With need analysis is about the how we analyze the resources, in this case the student or the organization, and then we also want to know about what happened in our curriculum. That's called task analysis. And then after we combine the two sources here, or the two data here, and then we design and develop the learning environment, and then instructional modeling, where we state the objective, and then we generate the learning tasks, and then we choose what is teaching strategy that suitable for based on the analysis, and then choosing of delivery system. Now we move to the next part here, the how we implement implement the teaching strategy, and then the delivery system, about this instructional modeling. And after that, we also evaluation process, that's called formative and evaluate and summative evaluation tests. Based on Rothwell, that some instructional design model, but the very famous one, that there are many researchers from some department or some environment apply this one, not only in education but also in some department, like company or another freelance researchers. AD is method of instructional design that's very famous, and then flexible to be used. AD stands for analysis, designing, development, implementation, evaluation model. And then next we also have Bloom's learning taxonomy, key four level of training, evaluation, Gmt-9 event of instruction, and then in the last we have CAM's instructional design models. And then still many kind of instructional design models that I will show you in the next slide. First model comes from DOID models for the design of multimedia environment. So here we starting from the objective, and then we analyze the contents, the context, problem, learner, characteristic, knowledge, task, and the goal. And then we have here how we combine the data from the decision of the format, interaction design, graphic design or layout, and then multimedia design, instructional of the content, and then usability. And then we we include motivational design. In this case, maybe this about uh, uh, how we make our student interest to join in every session of this session. And then the next models come from DK and carry model, where we're starting from assessment of needs and to identify the goal. And then we take the data from the two sources here, the conduct instructional analysis, and then we analyze the learner and the context. And then we write performance in the objective, and then we develop assessment instrument, develop instructional strategy, develop and select instructional material, and then we design and conduct the formative evaluation instruction. And then this is possible, we have a revision section, and then until the last we have the summative evaluation. So here are the three phases of Gmt-9 event of instructional design. There are 9 phases here, where the first is gaining attention. That's about how we introduce the stimulus to excite curiosity. And then the next is inform the learner of the objective. That's about how we describe the expected performance. And then the next stimulate prerequisite recall. That's about recall of the concept and the rule. And then the fourth here, present learning material. That's about how we present example of the concept or the rule. Then the next is provide guidance for the learning. That's about use the verbal clue, illustration, and then elicit performance. That's about let the learner apply the concept, and then provide the feedback. That's about how we confirm the correctness of the performance. And the last one is assess performance. That's about the test the application of the concept, and then enhance retention and the transfer. That's about how we provide a variety of the other application. The next is Rothwell-Kanasis ID model. That's about some component here, starting from how we conduct the need analysis here, about how we identify the gap between actual performance and determine causes, and then assess a relevant learner characteristic. We analyze the factor the workplace in setting. And then the next phase, doing the performance analysis of job, task, and the content. And then we write a statement of the performance objective. And then after that, we develop the performance measurement, sequence performance objective, specify instructional strategy, and design instructional material. And the last is evaluate the instruction. The next is CAM design model, where there are some pieces here. The first is planning, revision, formative evaluation, and summative evaluation. And then in the core, exactly starting from the instructional problem, we want to know the problem, the potential, and next the learner characteristic, the text analysis, instructional objective, content sequencing, instructional strategy, designing the message, instructional delivery, and then evaluation instrument. So in this part, we have 4 component: planning, revision, formative evaluation, and summative evaluation. The next is Gerlach-Early instructional design model. It's almost the same that I mentioned just now, starting from how we analyze the object, the object of or the target of the learner, and then where we're starting from here in specific of the object, and then content and specific the content, and then we assess the entering behavior. And then the next process, we determine the strategy, organization group, how we use or maintain the time, allocation the space, and then selection of the resource, and then evaluation performance, and then analyzing of feedback. 19 cascade model is also the same, but here that's unique because we have 3 phase. The first phase is preliminary research, and then in the next phase is the process. But in this process, we divide it into some level: design, analysis, design, and formative evaluation. Where in every piece here we have designing specification, global material, partial detail material, and complete material. And then the last, we have a summative evaluation. The next is Sales Guest Law model of instructional design, where we have some model here is almost the same with Diking and Carey, where starting from the problem analysis, and then task instructional analysis, and then we have objective and task, instructional strategy, media development, and then after that we have material development, formative evaluation, and then implementation maintenance, and then summative evaluation, and then the last we also have implementation and dissemination. Here the Smith-Regan model of instructional design, where we can do this research, or how we design the instructional that can support our individual, our student, or our institution. We're starting in analysis. There are 3 components here that we have to design, analyze. The learning environment, the learner, and the learning tasks. So after that, we determine the organization strategy, delivery strategy, and the management strategy. And then we conduct the formative evaluation, and the last summative evaluation. The next is diamond model of instructional design in higher education. This will be very suitable to be applied in for who want to conduct the research in the higher education. We have 2 phases here. In the first phase 1, that's called project selection and design, where starting from the project generalization and selection. So, and then we conduct the basic planning input, or the project specification, and then the project specifying factor. And after that, we move to the second piece here, that's called production, implementation, and evaluation for each unit. We're starting from determine objective, and then select instructional format, evaluate and select existing material, and produce and field test new and viable material, and then coordinate logistic for implementation, and then implement, evaluate, and revise in the last piece. The next is ARCS model. A is attention. We arouse the learner curiosity and interest. And then relevance, R, relevance is about related to the learner experience and needs, material that must matter to them. And then C is confidence. That's about the support learner success of minimum tasks. And then S is satisfaction. That's how we build learner sense of reinforcement and achievement. So the very famous one is AD. AD stands for analyze, design, develop, implement, and evaluate. There are some, and then AD is a process used to, I think, training or trainer or developer of instructional designer to plan and create effective learning experiment. And then this one, in every page there are some some question I think that can lead us in this, because as a key question in within the framework, for example, who is the target group, what content to be taught and learned, and what for the instructional goal and learning objective, why. This is about the accountability or need analysis, and how it is about the instructional method. When it's about timeline of instruction, we have to design the timeline, and then where this is about the venue of the learning environment. So let's come in the next the first phase here in analysis. So before we starting how we develop our learning material, I think the first one is how we analyze the current situation. So basically get a clearer picture of where everything is current, understand the gaps that you need to fill. For example, who is the audience and what are they like, and then what is the problem we are trying to solve. Why are we doing training at all? What is the desired outcome of this learning experience? And then what does the audience already know? What tool are the best to deliver the type of the information? And then when does this need to be delivered? That's some question that can lead us to support our pace here in this analysis space. The next is design. The in the design phase, we view all the information from the analysis phase in the first phase, and then make informed decision about the creating a learning program. And then be aware in this phase is often time intensive and require attention to detail. And then in this phase also help us to design to design the specific learning objective, structure of the content, mental process, and then also some information about the participant knowledge or skill participant need to retain, best tool to be used, and also yeah, maybe video or some graphic to create the length of the time for each lesson, and just then also just name a few in essential. And then next is develop. So after we got our analysis in design, so we have got our design, and then now it's time to start to build. And then in this piece, that's where we actually begin to create and develop our course. Maybe we want to develop the material or technique or strategy or approach. And then the output of this space is, at the end of this, we should have our entire course development complete. And then the next is implementation. So here how we distribute our learning and product to our audience. So here the output of this space is our course is available in the classroom, and then begin completing. And the last is evaluate. Here how we evaluate our learning and the product is effective and meeting its goal, and make any necessary update and circle back to the analysis phase. And the output of implementation here is we should have detailed information about what you need to revise or improve for this course and the future course. Okay, the next kind of instructional design is 4CID. 4CID. OCID is about the learning tasks, and then part tasks practice, support information, and then GIT information. Here some for OCID more strategy to reduce cognitive load, where how we do the sequencing from the simple to the complex learning tasks, and then just in time information. Here's some technology, some instructional design that can that suitable, I think, to be applying for someone here in technology department. The first one is assure. Assure stand for analyze, state, select, utilize, require, and evaluate. So in the first page, we analyze the learner. Who is the audience? We want to know the democratic pedagogy, andragogy, general characteristic of the learner, entry competence, and the learning style. And we state the objective here. What do the student need to learn? Learning outcome assessment, and the course rubric, the rubric for noun, the skill or the concept, the rubric to know about the accuracy or proficiency, and then condition about the performance. And then how we select method, media, and material. What do the instructional need to use? The face-to-face, maybe, or hybrid, and online teaching. In this piece, how we select the instructional material that's suitable based on the previous space, and then produce the new material and repurpose existing material. And then the next space is utilize media and material. How do instruction do use the material, in this case the preview material, in blueprint, prepare environment, and then provide instruction. And the last one, we require the learner participant. Here, how we make our student active in engage our classroom. So maybe we invite some theory of learning in, for example, in theory in level of thinking taxonomy Bloom, or in how we invite also Howard Gardner multiple intelligence. So we can combine the two grand theory here to make our student actively to engage our class, like to do the discussion, to make small group activity, and then in the last we have formative assessment, and the last is evaluate and revise. So there are some questions here, what work, what doesn't, and then also we have some content that should be included in summative evaluation, like instructional delivery, how the instructional delivery, and then how about the media and material, is it suitable, or still any revise to improve the student outcome. The next is ID expert basic architecture and the transitional shell. Then the PNIT, that's the entity activity network. The next, we also have IDE, that's the instructional design environment. And then we have also recursive reflective design and development model. And then we also have the triple P. Triple P is the product prototype, where in prototype we analyze, design, develop, implementation, and evaluation. And also fusion model of and conic and Riedel instructional model, and then Berlin model of didactic. And also we have Clarke concept of critical constructive didactic. And also we have the supply and use model of instruction, and then here the back design model of instructional design. Thank you so much for this wonderful invitation, and assalamualaikum, and good evening from Indonesia. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for such an enriching and enlightening lecture on the different functions, level, and design of research and development. It was indeed a very valuable and interesting presentation. Thank you, sir, for sharing your expertise view
Thank
on research and development. If anyone has any queries regarding the presentation, please go ahead with your questions. Sir, it seems that there are no more questions. Your lesson was very clear and you all understood and enjoyed the lesson very well. Sir, would you like to say anything before we conclude the session?
I just express my thanking to share with all with some lecturer and professor in India, and then it is my honor to be here. And then thank you so much. Thank you so much for the faculty and staff for this college, and then for Kapi Komirin, Dr. Regit. Thank you.